I can't do anything. I have no discipline. I have no talent for anything. Have you ever caught yourself saying these things? If you watch this video until the end today, you will learn scientifically why your brain seems to sabotage you and how to get out of this cycle. You set a goal for yourself. You want to work more consistently, start something new, exercise, or begin a project. But when there is a small setback, a voice inside begins, "You are always like this. You don't want it enough, so you have no willpower." And you mistake this voice for discipline. You think that harsh voice is normal, because for years we were taught this. The harder you are on yourself, the more successful you will become. Successful people are tough people. The softer you are, the more you will be crushed. But there is a very important false belief we need to break here. Being cruel to yourself is not discipline. Sometimes it is just a small dictatorship built inside your inner world. And this inner dictator is not making you faster. On the contrary, it is slowing your progress down. If this feels familiar to you, like this video. What sentence does that harsh voice inside you say the most? Share it in the comments. Let's talk about it. Because the issue here is not laziness, the issue is understanding how your brain works when it feels under threat. When you constantly criticize yourself, your brain perceives this as a threat. As if someone outside is attacking you, you begin attacking yourself from the inside. When the brain perceives threat, higher level thinking may weaken. In other words, skills like planning, focusing, problem solving, flexible thinking, and creative decision making may become harder. Because in that moment, the nervous system does not organize itself around the question, "How can I grow?" Instead, it organizes itself around the question, "How can I survive?" That is why a harsh inner voice does not make you more disciplined. It can make you more frozen, more indecisive, and more likely to procrastinate. Your brain is not sabotaging you, it is trying to protect you. But here's the problem: your brain may begin to perceive even your own inner voice as a danger. While you want to move forward, you constantly start fighting with yourself inside. On one side, you want to reach your goal. On the other side, you punish yourself every time you make a mistake. Then you start thinking, "Why can't I keep going?" This turns into a vicious cycle, and you may become unable to move. The problem is not a lack of motivation. Your mind perceives the space of growth not as a safe place, but as a courtroom where you will be judged. Because inner criticism works like this: if I'm hard on myself, I won't lose control. If I blame myself, I won't repeat the same mistake. If I shame myself, I will become better. In other words, I should shame myself before someone else does. But here is the false belief: people do not grow through shame, people change through safe awareness. In fact, with these false beliefs, you shrink your own limits. Being compassionate toward yourself does not mean spoiling yourself or ignoring your mistakes. True growth is being able to see yourself honestly without attacking yourself. Because objective self evaluation and cruel self criticism are not the same thing. When people start something new, the things they usually struggle with are these: starting with big and unclear goals, expecting immediate results, trying to move forward without building a routine, acting according to their mood, completely giving up after a few setbacks. These are ordinary things everyone faces. If you do not know this, you cannot look at yourself objectively. A person with strong well being is not someone who is hard and unbreakable. They are someone who can be vulnerable, soft, and able to flow with life, but most importantly, someone who can look at themselves objectively. Of course, there will be moments in life when we need to stand firm and strong. Anyone who says otherwise is lying to you, but being able to tell the difference is what makes us human. This is where objective evaluation comes in. What does a person who can evaluate objectively ask? I couldn't do what I planned today. Why? What made it difficult for me? How can I make the system easier next time? But someone who criticizes themselves cruelly says, "You are always like this. You will never make it. You ruined it again." One produces a solution. It tries to understand the situation as a whole. The other attacks your identity. And when a person's identity is attacked, they do not grow, they shut down. This is the negative criticism we experience in our inner world. Now let's also talk about the critical but compassionless comments we are exposed to in the outside world. I want to share something I have experienced myself so you can adapt it to your own life. On social media, I sometimes come across bad comments, meaning malicious critical comments. They are not constructive or curious. They are comments made only to lower the other person's mood. All of them use a harsh language of criticism. The difference for me, and I think what keeps me on the healthier side, is this: I know that someone who criticizes me harshly is probably even harsher toward themselves. Because this person does not know self love or compassion, they try to feel satisfied by devaluing me through their comments. In other words, they think that if they pull me down, they will rise. I know that these kinds of people exist everywhere, and that I can always come across them. So instead of trying to control the outside world or accepting every bad criticism from outside as truth, I strengthen my inner resilience. I do not take these people seriously, I only feel sorry for them. They have probably never known the peace and joy that come from loving yourself, showing compassion, and living life not through harsh lines, but through a softer flow. I am always open to constructive criticism and curious questions. The information I share may not speak to you, and that is normal. Everyone has a different style, but I do not take seriously the comments that think they can devalue the work I do. In fact, I will tell you a small secret about myself. These kinds of comments always motivate me more. If the other person has started trying to devalue me, then deep down, they probably see me and my knowledge as a threat. In their own way, they have started trying to bring me down. They do not know that one of my strongest character traits is persistence and stubbornness, so they think they can lower my mood. If people try to pull you down, it is their attempt to bring you down to their own level. Because I know this very well, things like this do not affect me. The reason I am giving this example is that the biggest struggle of people who are self critical is that they become too open to outside criticism. But what you are doing may actually be good. The other person may be trying to bring it down because they cannot understand your vision or because they cannot tolerate your work becoming visible. Especially in workplaces or academic settings, if someone who does the same work as you performs lower than you but still gives you non constructive criticism, this may be the reason. This is my observation. I have not really seen it be wrong, but of course, there may sometimes be differences. Then there is a very important reason why I especially wanted to share this topic today. Most people criticize themselves. Some people turn this criticism inward and hurt themselves by devaluing themselves. Especially the people who criticize you are usually either people who do the same work as you but do not perform, or people who do not understand that work at all. If there is a mistake, the way it is expressed tells you about the other person, not about your mistake. Let's talk through an example. You wrote a sufficient 30-page report. There is only one misspelled word on one page. If the person in front of you says, you couldn't do anything right, you don't even know how to write one word correctly, then the problem is with that person. Because a healthy person would say, the report is sufficient, only this mistake needs to be corrected. After that, it will be ready. This is a person who does not throw away all your effort because of one mistake. If those people knew they could do what you do better than you, they would do it. Because they know they cannot, they criticize you and try to pull you down to their own level. I compare these kinds of people to mud. They love spreading their own dirt everywhere and they enjoy it. If you are watching this video, you are probably someone who is open to criticism. So do not allow this mud to stick to you. Approach yourself objectively. I share awareness content on my channel every day so you can learn this. You have access to a quality source. You can subscribe to my channel. When you approach yourself critically, use the important information I am about to give you. What is stopping me may not be my lack of discipline. It may be the sense of threat that the way I speak to myself creates in my nervous system. I can notice this today with a small practice. When I make a mistake or postpone something, I do not have to attack myself immediately. What am I saying to myself right now? Are the sentences I use really helping me, or are they making me feel more trapped? If someone I loved were experiencing the same situation, what would I say to them? Then change the sentence inside you. For example, instead of saying, I failed again, say, today I struggled. What can I make easier? Instead of saying, I am lazy, ask, what is making it hard for me to start right now? Instead of saying, I can't do it, say, this skill requires repetition and a system. Instead of saying, I can't, use the word, I can try. For things you do not want to do, instead of saying, I can't, say, I do not prefer to try this, but if I wanted to, I could try. The mind cannot always distinguish reality from imagination. It may also mistake negative beliefs about yourself for truth. That is why it is important to notice and change your false beliefs. These false interpretations do not help you grow. They only make you smaller. Understanding your inner world is the first step of change. Approaching yourself with more compassion does not mean taking less responsibility. On the contrary, it means being able to take responsibility without punishing yourself, because real discipline is not the voice of the dictator inside you. It is not becoming a slave to other people just to fit in. Real discipline is the capacity to return again and again without devaluing yourself.